Hey, I wanted to do a little update on the Turbo 400 build. We spent a considerable amount of time trying to research what was needed and what was not needed to try to build a transmission that would easily handle, probably between 650 and say 950 crankshaft horsepower. And it's a little bit difficult. I mean, there's a lot of information. I mean, it's not like a secret what the different transmission shops and different builders put into their transmissions to handle certain powers. Most of the ones I've found that are called, or they're referring to them as a Turbo 400 Stage 2 build, basically what they're updating inside the transmission over and above just like a Stage 2, shift improvement kit. They are replacing the 16 element intermediate sprag with a 34 element sprag, which, from the research I found, requires you to have a certain intermediate drum. I haven't pulled this transmission apart to compare, but from what I found online, they're saying 71 and older Turbo 350s have a smooth drum, which accepts the 34 element sprag with no modifications. Now, I don't know this to be 100% true. This is just information I'm regurgitating from the internet. This particular Turbo 400 I'm going to rebuild is a 1973 truck Turbo 350 short tail. Just rudimentarily checking the bushings in the transmission, both input and output. This transmission had to have been rebuilt at some point with new bushings because it's super tight. I mean, I'm not seeing any excessive shaft play, coming or going on that transmission. But to get back to where I was at, being that this is a 73 transmission, I'm assuming that I'm going to have to find a smooth intermediate drum or modify the one that's in here to accept the 34 element sprag. Because the Stage 2 builds that I have found that say that they can handle 650 plus horsepower to the rear wheels, they're basically going with a performance clearance on their clutch packs, and they're at least running, I think they were calling it a 5 forward, 5 intermediate. They refer to it as a 5 and 5. One build did have like a 6 and then 5 clutch packs. So basically, most of the people are recommending the Red Alto racing clutches. Jake Shore from Jake's Performance, he actually believes there's no inherent advantage to running the Red Alto clutches over like a Ray Vestas tan. But, I'm going to go with the percentages. And we're going to, Richard and I both are building transmissions right now. We're going to go with the Red Alto or Red Eagle, whatever they call those clutches. Brand new choline steels. 34 element sprag. Like I said previously, I don't know for sure if I'm going to be able to get away with just dropping that 34 element in my existing intermediate drum. I may have to get a different one. We've looked at several different kits, because really they do not change to aftermarket input or output shafts at that 650 plus rear wheel. They're really just beefing up the sprags, putting in high quality clutches and steels, and a decent shift kit. I mean, you know what I mean? I haven't seen any builds that, went over and above doing a whole great deal more than that, other than setting your clearances up on your clutch packs to handle the horsepower. Because counterintuitive to what you might think, when you build for higher horsepower, you actually add a little bit of clearance to the clutch packs instead of making them tighter. From what I've found through my research, stock rebuilds, they will make the clutch packs really tight. They don't give them hardly any clearance. But let's just use this number as an example. Let's say factory clearance might be 15 thousandths. They're recommending, 45 thousandths on your total clutch pack clearance on a performance build to handle the higher horsepower. So that's just some information that I've gathered through my research online and trying to, get things situated to figure out what I need to order, what I don't need to order, what's absolutely needed for the horsepower level I'm trying to build, what's not, But I truly believe that it's going to be fairly affordable. Most of the complete kits, and I have found some master kits that have all of the, just in case you needed them, have all of the replacement bushings, not just one or two of them. They have the reverse band, the intermediate band. They have, full red alto clutches, choline steels, all your soft parts, your lift seals, your shifter shaft seals, all of your soft gaskets, everything complete, minus the shift improver kit. They're around 180 bucks. If you do your research online, go to eBay, because everybody always wants to find a deal. You can get a complete master rebuild kit for right around 180 bucks. Now, you can go high, to a little bit higher kit, $200, $300, even up to $400. But from my research, I don't need to pay for a name brand. Like if TCI assembles it, or BMW or B&M, assembles this kit, is not going to make it work any better than assembling it on my own. So basically, I'm going to go with the modifications that may or may not be necessary, because I don't know what clutch packs are in this transmission already, since it has been overhauled before. But my intention is to do the red alto clutches, choline steels, try to get at least a 5 and 5 clutch pack setup. A good Ray Bestis. I think it's either Ray Bestis or Borg Warner. I think it's Borg Warner. 34 element sprag. Get it in there. I want to have a good wide reverse band, and I might step it up to a slightly wider intermediate band, because I've noticed these kits have the just regular factory width band on that intermediate setup. So I'll see what's going on with it when I get in there. I personally don't like a super harsh hitting transmission, because it ends up hurting more, does more damage than it does good. So I'm going to go with a stage 2, probably a Transgo shift improvement kit, just to kind of take away that slush box shift. You know what I mean? You don't want it banging gears, because that's when you break stuff, but you also don't want it to slip into gear when you shift. So, stage 2 Transgo, upgrade the common sprag situation, better clutches and steel, set up my clearances. I think I'll be good to go, because, when I'm looking at 500 at the tire, that's what, 600 to 650 at the crank. So, but we want to build a similar transmission, follow each other's advice, and build one for a friend of mine who's building a much higher horsepower build, but hasn't reached that level where they recommend, billet internals, aftermarket shafts, all that good stuff. So we are kind of leaning towards, both of us running the Freakshow torque converters. I've had excellent luck with Freakshow, which was previously Redneck Racing, or Redneck Transmissions. Do a little research on them online if you're not familiar with them. But basically, you can get a performance built 9.5, 10-inch converter with anti-ballooning plate for $320 shipped. If you are interested in a proven, tried and true turbo converter at a fairly cheap price, Jegs Extra Heavy Duty torque converters. I want to say they're made by Transmission Specialties. You can buy those things for $399.99 through Jegs, as I said. There's a lot of guys on the turbo forums running that particular converter. You just kind of need to do your research and find out if it's going to foot brake high enough without a trans brake to work with your combination if you're running a turbo. Because this whole build is as budget minded as I can possibly make it, I'm leaning towards what I've used before and just telling them ahead of time, hey, this is not a nitrous build, this is going to be a turbo build, so I need probably a little bit tighter efficiency on my, I want as much as efficiency as I can in my upper coupling, but I absolutely need a foot brake of at least 3,000 RPMs to see any kind of boost. So anyway, it's going to be a gamble on my part, and it's a really tough game to try to build and or select a torque converter that'll work with the parameters that I'm trying to work with. I would probably be better served to put a stick shift in it with a clutch, but this build absolutely is not in the T56 price range. So anyway, I appreciate you guys watching these videos. Again, we are just collecting parts to start building, the heavy duty turbo 400, get a decent converter that can handle the turbo, the power of the turbo. As I mentioned in the video just before this, I do have my 4.8 back from the machine shop. I went ahead and stabbed in one of my LS cams just to reiterate or prove those cam bearings are perfectly installed, no rotational resistance, everything's good to go on it. So anyway, that's where I'm at as far as getting prepared to do my turbo 400 build. Trying to make a decision on my converter, because I originally wanted to reuse the converter that was the winner's choice 10-inch 3500 converter that I've got in the car now, but after calling them directly, they said they absolutely do not recommend running that particular torque converter with a turbo. So apparently turbo makes too much power too fast, and that converter was absolutely not built to handle it. So another budget constraint, but shop around, do your homework, research all this stuff on YouTube, do just general Google searches, do whatever you got to do to get informed so that you don't waste money, or don't waste money paying somebody else to do something that you could do if you just take your time and, do it one step at a time. I appreciate you guys watching.